Hello, good morning, and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to be excited about. We made it. It's Friday. We're still alive. Xbox is still a brand. Holy shit, it exists. And next week will be here before you know it. Obviously, next week is I guess you can call it the boiling point, if you will, for some fans, where we're going to finally get the business plan of what exactly Xbox is going to be looking like. Obviously, if you watched the last couple of shows, we were privy to some information regarding hardware that Mag Village Game Guy, of course, of XNC with Colt Eastwood, dropped on Primetime Gaming. And then, of course, that evening, I received a text from a particular source that said, "Hey, listen, the second console is not going to be less powerful. They are aiming for equal parity with power." And people are like, "Well, how could that be? Boom! It doesn't make sense." Well, it does if the dock actually has hardware. If it's not just a plastic dock like it is for the Switch, and it actually has electronics in it, it could very well be as powerful. But again, listen, again, speculation town. This is what I was told. I read you the message verbatim on the air. Whether you believe or you don't is entirely up to you. Take everything with a grain of salt. But today, and we are going to be talking about, well, actually, quite frankly, we have a lot to get into, to be honest with you. We are going to be talking about some of the peaks and valleys with PlayStation and Sony, specifically some really good conversation between Helldivers 2. Okay, so it doesn't have the greatest concurrent numbers. It hasn't beaten Starfield. It doesn't look like it is going to. It's had its issues, but everyone that I've talked to has said it's a damn good game. And you know what Boom did this morning? I spent $177 this morning on PlayStation. That's right. I got the deluxe edition for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, as I said I would. And I bought Helldivers, and I didn't buy the $40 edition, folks. I got the $60 edition, which cost me $65.01. And you know what? Well, when you support other consoles, even though they're a PlayStation, you spend money, which is what I did, and I'm not sad that I did. But that's a piece of the conversation. The other dark territory that we're going to kind of roll through, and this is going to be an open-ended conversation. First half of the show, we're probably going to spend an hour on it, so get ready, folks. It is going to have some slander because Sony, SIE, is doing some pretty heinous shit when it comes to the anime space, and obviously they are the owners of Crunchyroll. They're the owners of Funimation, or no longer Funimation, because they're merging the two. But any consumer on the Funimation side is losing access to all of their purchased content. Like, all of their digital libraries is gone. Now, we've had few people from the gaming media get out there. Paul Tassi, golf clap, brother, great article. He kind of put Sony on blast, and I applaud him for it. From a consumer, like, I don't consume anime like I used to. But listen, it's still not a right thing. No one in the gaming media is kind of putting them on blast. So I'm a little disappointed with that. And we will get into that as well. And the other little piece that I think that Silent Cypher is going to want to sink his teeth into is, okay, a couple of weeks ago, tremendous controversy. Everybody in the gaming media up in arms, putting WB Games on blast. How dare you not give us codes for the Suicide Squad? That means the game's a piece of shit. No one's going to like it. It's going to be the worst reviewed game. Turns out that it's a freaking really good game. What's interesting, folks, and I'm not going to say who told me this, brought this to my life, sent me a DM, private DM, so it's going to stay private. I said, "Hey, Boom, just want to give you the heads up. Take a look at this." And I didn't even think about it until they put it in front of me. And I'm like, wow, that really does make sense. Well, it doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense that this happened. Foam Stars, which released a couple of days ago to zero fanfare, right? But a ton of microtransactions, right? Good on them for trying to make money. Well, Foam Stars and Helldivers 2 did not get codes sent out for review to the gaming media. But you know why we don't hear about it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about, folks. But before we get into all of that shenanigans, let's welcome in this amazing group of two of the best bald heads in the business. I can't say if Crispy Bomb or Dreadpool. Well, Dreadpool's definitely not bald. That guy's got there. He is. He's not bald.
Not bald.
He got a big old. I'm not
Far
bald.
from it.
Some people are like, oh, Boom, you're balding. It's a mohawk that I cut like this. You just can't really see it because I don't have a camera from the side. But if I did, you'd see that it's actually pretty dope mohawk. I'm going to be honest with you. But listen, let's welcome in Silent Cypher. Silent Brother, it's great to have you here. A particular topic you kind of felt a little pizzazz to talk about. How you feeling?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Glad to be hanging out with you guys this morning. And yeah, no, it's interesting. It's always interesting how the tides turn on this. Obviously we'll get into it more, but yeah, I find the hypocrisy always just so ripe when these things happen, but then all of a sudden someone else gets a pass.
Yes. Yeah, it's look, folks. Are we gonna even remotely suggest that the favorite son is not PlayStation? I mean, who's the redheaded stepchild? Now, granted, Microsoft has kind of put themselves occasionally in a corner. I don't want to say that's the case now. No, again, obviously with the things pending, it hasn't been good that there's been some silence on the side of the, of the C-level executives that normally are the talking heads for the community, right? We always talk to Sarah Bond. We always talk to Phil Spencer, Aaron Greenberg, even Matt Booty, who doesn't speak much, but when he gets out there, he's still out there, chopping it up with us. Well, we haven't heard much. And I think that is why there's been so much turmoil. But again, everything is going to be rectified. And I think we're all going to be pretty satisfied. Now, I can't really say for like the, you cut me, I bleed green kind of people. Maybe you so, change is so abrupt for you personally that you can't, comprehend what's happening. I get it. That's brand loyalty. But we're going to get into all of it, folks. We're going to have a great conversation here. 300 people here. Big thank you to already. I mean, we're only a few minutes in and we already have this many people. That is pretty dope. So thank you so much for being here. Fuzzy Belvedere, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys. Man, Twitter's just been nonstop hilarity at some point.
It has been.
But other than that, just enjoying Helldivers 2 on PC, by the way. But outside of that, just looking forward to some games, looking forward to the conversation. Man, we got a lot to talk about, so let's do this.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. Folks, you don't see Web Dave here. He had some personal business to take care of. He should be back next week with no fuss, no muss. But let's welcome in Dreadpool. Dreadpool, how you feeling, kind sir? And, of course, the question of the day isn't what you're playing. It's what you had for breakfast, sir.
Yes, I had leftovers. I had my wife cooked dinner last night, so obviously today was my leftovers. But nice
and don't they taste
steak.
better? Don't they just taste so much better?
Sometimes leftovers are better, So we had a nice steak, mashed potatoes. We got and she does the there's two versions of it. It's the fried green beans, and she'll fry them up in olive oil. And then she'll season it with her seasonings. She won't tell me what it is, so only she has control over that. But I get a choice of either mozzarella or feta cheese. So last night was feta cheese.
Nice, dude. So that sounds. I'm hungry. I had breakfast. So
that and the funny thing is with the coffee. But hey,
listen. Good on you, kind sir, for having a stomach that could withhold or withstand, I should say, that amazing meal, but then to mix with coffee. Oh, good God. I don't know, but listen, it's great to have you here. We're going to get into your hot takes on some of the stuff, and nowhere least last, Mr. Super Bowl winner, because I'm calling it. The Chiefs are winning, and they're winning by 10. Crispy Bomb, what's going on, brother? Back-to-back Super Bowls is what's on the table and at stake for Mahomes and the gang. I'm sorry to say that kid's got it all. I don't bet against Mahomes, and I don't bet actually at all because I don't like to gamble at all. But I am banking on a W for the Chiefs. How you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling good. We'll see, right? Let's go. And I just want to say we're going to get into some hypocritical type stuff. Like,
yeah, indeed.
There's a lot of hypocrites out here, man. A lot of people that are supposedly Xbox fans that aren't really talking about the stuff that Sony's been pulling because it's pretty bad, man. It's not good. So we're going to get into it.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of egregious behavior. Sony is known for it. What I find to be almost laughable at this particular junction in time is at every moment you see people like Tom Warren, who's a phenomenal journalist, talking about the FTC trying to introduce new evidence about how terrible ABK is and why they need to break it up. And yet, literally, like pound for pound, everything that Xbox has done right. Okay, listen, I get it. 1,900 people lost their jobs, and that is no easy pill to swallow. And my heart goes out to every one of them because that is that's a big deal. But when you consider the size of the company and how many people remained employed, I mean, I understand that there's no easy way to say that this is good for anyone. It's not good. It's not good for the industry. It's not good for the people involved. But they tried to use that as a jumping off point to, hey, point at this. But yet they are allowing, with no pushback, no regulatory eyes whatsoever, Sony to actually merge two massive anime businesses together. First of all, I don't even understand how they were able to purchase them, to be quite frank, because listen, those are the two of the biggest cornerstones in the anime market. How was that able to happen? So now they're merging them, and okay, there's going to be layoffs, I'm sure. There's going to be overlapping, I'm sure. You're going to see it. They're going to announce it. But see, let's go to Crispy Bomb on this, because this is one of the more pointed topics of today. And again, I know that this is a video game show, but this is, again, it's an open-ended conversation. We're going to talk Helldivers, we're going to talk Final Fantasy, Foam Stars, we're going to talk how a lot of these journalists are showing, how much of how they could be like these giant hypocrites. One is bad, the other one is good, no matter what they do. It's happening for you in real time. But I do want to go to Crispy on this. Now, Crispy, this is a really big deal. We've had several people reach out to it. From so for instance, I have a tweet here from Culture Crave. They are a personality or a company personality on Twitter. They have 377,000 followers, and they're following only 80 people. And I'm following them because, well, I like movies, TV, and everything that goes into it. Well, they reported, and I'm reading verbatim, FuniMation and Crunchyroll Crunchyroll is the main breadwinner here. Funimation's being merged into Crunchyroll. And a couple of things here that was, and this is supposed to officially take place on April 2nd, which is right around the corner. The individual who is subscribed to this service, Crispy, their watch history and queue can migrate over, which is pretty cool, to be honest with you. You don't have to re-add all of your things if you're only on one. Digital purchases on Funimation will not be supported. And, well, this is where it kind of gets a little even more egregious. Pricing increases go to $100 a year from $54. So it's going up $45 on top of you losing out on your purchased stuff. And there's no regulatory pushback whatsoever. What's going on here, dude?
Well, that's the point, man. Like, you got to really, really think about it here. How is a regulator worried about what Microsoft's doing right now, and at the least not saying something about this? Now, people are like, oh, there's competition, there's Netflix, there's Hulu. That's not even close to the amount of anime in these other two. Like, come on now.
It's laughable to even consider it, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and when they purchase them, I think it's maybe the threshold of the price or whatever, but that doesn't mean a regulator can't jump in now. Like, you're almost doubling the price. You are taking away people's purchases on one of them, and you're also eliminating the competition. Even though, it's owned by Sony, you still have competing platforms. So you're basically saying, oh, that's fine, no big deal. I mean, it's starting to get ridiculous that I feel like Sony can do whatever the heck they want. okay, and absolutely rake the consumer over the coals because they've been doing it for a while. We have documented it many times between PlayStation and all of these other things. And nobody says a darn word. But now we got a rumor out here about Xbox and everybody's losing their minds. I mean, where is the articles? I mean, you see the ones that we look to saying, hey, you know, this is kind of messed up, or just reporting it, just saying something. And I see everybody else just silent. The ones that we always call out and say, oh, you are, you know, the Xbox tax, the bias, whatever. Well, it seems to be apparent because these past few days, they've capitalized on all of this Xbox rumor stuff and quietly put out a bunch of really bad things. Okay. And on top of that, all these influencers and stuff, no, we're just going to keep talking about these rumors. Let's wait until they're facts. Just like the facts that Sony just put out. Can we actually get some media coverage saying this is not right? Because it's not.
I mean, you're 1,000% right. And again, there's no pushback, which I think when you look at it, and I understand, I get it, right? Like there is, you know, anime is anime, and you know, it's entertainment is entertainment, right? It's entertainment means a wide plethora of different things that you enjoy for your media enjoyment, right? Like whether it's gaming, whether it's anime, whether it's film, whether it's TV, doesn't matter. It's entertainment. And I got to be honest with you, being an Xbox dude first, like if this was happening on the Xbox side, and Crispy, you were there when we came like lunatics talking about the gold being doubled. Like you were on
Yeah.
there with me, and we were like, whoa, this is anti-consumer at its finest. And
Yep.
we were out there banging the drum for everyone to see. And what do? They reverse course. But when you don't have anyone to do, and anyone that's Hispanic will understand, get the pow pow, right? That which with for me, it was the chancleta. You know, I mean, and again, we talked about that on Monday. I'm sorry, brother. My grandmother was fast, but my mom was faster. She was quick draw McGraw with that shit. And when you got it, you know you deserved it. Well, here's the thing, folks. There is no bow bow for Sony, right? Like they just continue to go and just do what they're gonna do, and they're like, yeah, you know, hey, if no one's gonna stop us, then why should we stop ourselves? And this is pretty bad. Now, again, folks, this is an open-ended conversation. How I'm going to come at it is more so from the peaks and valleys that we've seen with Sony this particular week. Like I said in the opening, you've had some pretty good buzz with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's going to be a banger. And again, hey Xbox, proper Redmond, if you're watching, and I know that you are, they got $170 from me today because they have exclusives. I just want to throw that out there to you. Exclusives matter, regardless of whether or not you can get them on the service or you can't. Sony got $177 from me today because I bought both deluxe editions of 2 games. So FYI, if you know, just if you listen to the shows you're checking the pulse of the people, exclusives matter. FYI. But I think that there is something to say about Sony this particular week. It's been pretty busy for them. They've been in the news, but not. And this is where I get to the media bias. And look, folks, here's the thing. I said this before, and I know this for a fact has been told to me. I've had a lot of doors closed for Double Barrel Gaming because I refuse to get on my knees for the media. If you F up media, and you have been doing that on a regular basis, and I'm not going to single out anyone, the gaming media just sucks. It's not everybody, but it's a good portion of them. They suck. And they are cryptic, and they are pointed, and they have their their favorites, and they play the fiddle for the favorites. That's just what they do. And a perfect example of seeing that in action, Silent Cypher, is what has happened. Again, this particular week, peaks and valleys, Helldivers. Well, it's a pretty good freaking game. I'm not sorry I bought it. I cannot wait to play. I'm actually gonna try and jump on with Steel, Pong, and Mav, and see if they can kind of pull me through and level me up because I'm a little behind where they are. So I'm excited for that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo dropped, which is great. A lot of people got excited. Reminded me that I didn't pre-order it, and what I did, I pre-ordered the deluxe edition. Yeah, again, that's why I have a PlayStation 5, right? No problem. But there are two particular instances that kind of sour me a bit about the gaming media this week. They were championing how good these games looked and played, and that's awesome, as they should report on that. That's what you want to read a report that, hey, $100 game is going to be good. Awesome. Where I kind of twist the head a little bit and squint the eye is Foam Stars and Helldivers 2 did not get review codes sent out. That's a fact, folks. Where's the outrage? Where is the up in arms behavior? Where are the article after article? There are none, right? Double standards. Where are the reports of egregious anti-consumer behavior for this particular FuniMation situation, right? Like, where are the scathing reports? I didn't find any. Now, again, Paul Tassi did one, and I can't scour the entire internet. I did find only a few, but if it was a big deal, I would have seen 15 to 20 articles. I didn't. Why is that, Silent Cypher?
It's sorry.
No. We laugh because it's so blatant. It's gross.
Well, and the thing is like having a fan base, having a massive following, and being a big player when it comes to this side of the media, being in that media and being one of those big outlets that brings these things out. Like, if it's something that comes from a big outlet, if you slide over to the side on your phone, on your main screen, it kicks over to the Google homepage and it shows you all the recent stuff related to like your searches. Guaranteed, if I did it right now, I'd see plenty about how Xbox is bad, but I'm not going to see anything about the fact that Helldivers came out a shambled mess in many ways and has a lot of issues that need to be fixed. From what I can tell, the game looks cool. But that being said, like, we've called it out before. Where's that smoke when the shoe's on the other foot, right? Like, I have someone that I constantly see on Twitter that makes comments. It's like, oh, Microsoft's really dropping the ball this time. But then when I say anything about, the PlayStation release, it's, well, we talked about it on the show. And that's all I have to say about it. But blah, blah. It's like, dude, listen.
Throwing up those roadblocks.
Yeah, listen. Like, if you want to keep moving the goalpost every time that it's not in favor of your specific plastic box, you can shove it sideways. I don't care. Like, I think it's ridiculous. We're grown men. You can deal with it. If you have a problem with the fact that I have an opinion about your opinion and we can't have a conversation about it, then that sucks. But that's a you problem if you can't handle when I bring receipts in a situation where you obviously have a preference. And I'm not saying I don't have a preference, right? Like, I've been in the ecosystem on Xbox for 2+ decades. I've got a ton of games in my digital library. I like that ecosystem. But if they do something stupid, as we've done before, I will call it out, because I'm not just going to sit there and be like, yeah, this is great. I'm just going to fund your bad decisions. No, that'd be like if my kid wrecked his car into a tree because he was playing around on his phone. And then I went out and I bought him a new car and I'm like, it's okay. Here you go. Let me take care of that for you. You're fine. It's good.
Yep.
No mistakes made or anything. Just, but I do want to touch on a couple things that you guys were mentioning, right? The crispy
Please, by
roll
all means.
thing.
Again, take all the time you want, brother. It's a conversational podcast, no time limits.
So with the crispy roll thing, I think the thing that bothers me the most about it is, personally, like, I'm not an anime guy. It's not my thing, but I can draw a comparison to something like Voodoo and like Fandango and like those movie services. When they consolidated and they combined so you had access to your stuff. They literally just sent you out an email that was like, hey, just a heads up, we're merging these things. Go in, sync your accounts, so that way it'll bring over your history, and then you'll have your library tied in to Voodoo via Movies Anywhere or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Right. So it can be done. So it kind of feels like it's a lazy thing of like they either didn't want to deal with the rights to allow it compatible with that, or who knows. But the fact that you're also going to charge me an extra like $46 or whatever it is, like almost double the price on it, again, you can shove that price sideways, because that's ridiculous. Like the fact that you want to double it and you're also going to tell everyone to kick bricks and that their library doesn't exist anymore is gross. Like it's just straight up, it's not a good look. The optics are not great. To go back to something you were mentioning earlier about the media side of things, with all these type of things coming out on the Sony side, you and I both know, like, the reason why they're so vague or pointed on certain things, they're vague because they still need that engagement. So if they came out just like if Microsoft or Sony came out right now and was like, here's our entire roadmap, like, and with the exception of a leak of the entire roadmap, right? Like if these companies came out and said, here's everything we think about this article, you wouldn't go back to the website to look at reoccurring messages and updates about what's going on with that occurrence, right? Like, oh, hey, just a heads up, there's issues with this, or hey, we found out this information, we'll report more as it comes out. Well, yeah, if you just gave everyone all the details right up front, they're not going to go back to your website, so then you don't get engagement. So I feel like sometimes, like, yeah, there's some vague reporting to it, because like, yeah, of course they have you on a string and they want to tease you with it because they still want engagement at the end of the day. They're still going to draw you in as time goes on with these things, or with clickbait titles, for example, right? Like, how many times have we seen clickbait titles? Why do they do it? Because they need your engagement. And so, like, we'll see it over and over again. It's always going to continue this way. And it feels like even if Microsoft actually made good headroads in the industry, this is still going to be how it is until these people leave those outlets. Like, this is just going to be what it is. We get to buckle up and deal with it, because there is a bias out there in the media, whether people like it or not, and it's going to favor the Sony side. It's what it is. They were and have been the number one for a long time in regards to some of these aspects, and people fear the idea of an underdog story, I guess. I don't know. It's janky to me. But I do think it's really frustrating that, like, we come out here, we have these conversations about Microsoft fumbling the messaging on whatever's going to happen and what we're going to see next week. But then you have these multiple occurrences on Sony's side of things, and they report the good, but you don't see anyone saying anything about the bad. Or if they say something about the bad, they keep it as sterile as possible.
Or as vague as possible. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're literally like, oh, there's some problems, but they're fixing it. If it was Microsoft releasing that same game, they'd be like, the sky is falling, the world is over, Xbox is closing its doors tomorrow.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, that's my take. I don't know. It's a wild place out there right now. People slinging facts, quote unquote, all over the place. And like you guys were saying, right, is like, let's wait until we actually see these things come to fruition. We saw what Sony had come to fruition this week, and so we're rightfully so to give them smoke for it. The Crunchyroll thing is a bad look. Helldivers coming out the way it is, bad look. With Microsoft stuff, we haven't seen anything official. So all you folks are nervous, just take a breath. Let's prepare. Let's wait for what they have to say. If they're vague on what they give us, then we can give them smoke for that. But hopefully they will be very upfront about what the upcoming roadmap is in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll know next week. When next week is the question. Is it going to be Monday? Is it going to be Tuesday? Is it going to be just a Xbox Wire post? Which obviously it's going to say what it's going to say. Personally, again, this is just me. I would like to see some sort of a video with Phil explaining it. I think that's probably a better way if he's able to speak to us. Now, I'm not saying he has to do it. I'm saying that for the fan base, and there's a lot of people in the fan base that were really upset about this. Him speaking directly to the actual Xbox gamers will make a big difference. How he says it feels good. It feels a good speaker, man. The guy knows his business. He's a gamer. At his core, yeah, I get he's a C-level executive. Yes, he's the head of Microsoft Gaming. He holds a big, powerful position and probably makes a lot of money because of it. But that doesn't make him any less a human being, and one that we've looked to for confidence speeches before. So I think they're gonna the message has to be put. It has to be solid. But rewinding it back to what's currently going on in a particular topic that we're on is the Sony thing. Like I said, there are peaks and valleys this week is the best way to describe Sony. Disappointment in the media. Well, that's just for me anyway. I can't speak for anyone, and I won't. That's just a regular thing. I have a handful of actual journalists that I turn to. Jez Corden is one of them. Obviously, Tom Warren, I mentioned earlier, Tom Henderson. There are, I like Paul Tassi. Again, I don't always agree with Paul. Some of his takes, and you put us in a room, we're not going to agree with some of his stuff, but I like Paul. I do. I think he's a good reporter. I think he's a good journalist. But I don't have many outside of that. There are a few others. My God, why is his first name's Park? What is his
Gene Park.
Gene Park. I love Gene Park. Gene, I apologize. Why do I have a brain fart live on the air? Gene Park's another guy. I love Gene Park stuff. That guy he's been through it. And the fact that he's still with us, man, is freaking amazing. And I'm thankful to have him. So when he tweets, I read. When he posts something, I read it. I love Gene. And there are only a few. There are a few others. I'm not going to get into a list war and give you everybody, but there are only a few people I trust. For the most of the part, the gaming media is just gross. They're misrepresentative of what and who we are as gamers. We know that they work exclusively for the dollar. It's click-based material. We know all of this, and no big surprise. So what's going on with the egregious behavior not being recognized, but yet a couple of positive points for Sony, meaning that the Final Fantasy demo, great. Right? No argument there. Square, another banger, another excellent exclusive for PlayStation. Helldivers 2, yeah, it's messy, but ultimately, it's a freaking multiplayer Xbox. I mean, my Xbox, a PlayStation game. It's like walking out and be like, wow, I just found a pot of gold. Look at this. This is great. It doesn't happen often, and when it happens and people are having a good time, I want to get involved. So that's why I bought the game. Now. Again, how much multiplayer time I'm going to have. I know you can play it single player with a bunch of bots, which is probably how I'm going to play it. But it's fine. I just want to have fun. Dreadpool, I don't know where or which angle you want to come at from this. Usually you use your own personal business experience into these conversations, which is what we love about you. But by all means, take it away in any way you want to go.
All right. So let's think about this in the right context. Now that we're here in the right context,
I love it. Is that a bunch of people moving a goalpost? It's phenomenal.
Right?
Great work there, fella.
Great context. So
are they wearing blue shirts? What?
I see a red one there.
There's one red one, but that's
one
fine.
red.
That's
The
fine.
rest of them look blue. I'm gonna be
Man, my
honest.
eyesight's getting bad as I get old. Sorry.
All right, let me bring it back so we can get back
That's
to
great stuff. I love it.
okay, so literally what I just showed you is literally what's going on. And we've been asking for ethical reviews, ethical journalism, right? And I understand there are journalists that out there that are reporting on rumors, because you have to like report on certain things. You can have opinions on certain things. I get that. And you have to like, hey, this is a new thing that we need to identify. Okay. So when reporters, or it doesn't matter if it's on PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo or PC or whoever, any influencer or a smaller sort of journalistic based person, right? When they report on stuff like that, we can't take it to heart. We have to know that they are reporting on what they think is going to be like the next big news cycle. So they have to jump on that too. You know, how many times have you seen ABC jumping on something and then you find out that it's really not what you thought it was, right? And you know, how many videos do we see online and it's really not what you think it is, and everybody's like, I want the full context. Where's the rest of the video? Because it's misleading, right? Sometimes that's all you have to react on. Then you realize, oh crap, I just reacted to this information. There's more video or more information that I didn't react on, right? So I've always said opinions will change as more information comes out. So I might like something, and then when I find out more about it and realize it's not for me, I'm going to change my attitude. I'm going to change my opinion, right? So we got to remember this. So calling certain people out, I understand. Twitter has a monetization thing that interactions can generate money for them. I don't pay mind to that. So neither should you. You should do your own thinking, observe whatever you want to observe, think about what you're going to push and promote and do stuff like that, right? And that's not just as a checkmark person or a non-checkmark person, right? Do your own thinking, and that's what we want. Now, when it comes to this again, we're going to say that Lena Con Artist is one of the best ones out there when it comes to that. We will sit there and nitpick everything that Xbox is doing, Microsoft is doing, right?
Yep.
She's still fighting this thing,
which is
right? But here we are.
madness.
We have a company that has two smaller companies, right? Crunchyroll and Funimation. They are competitors in this market, but yet they were allowed to join. No stipulations, no nothing. They were allowed to be purchased underneath. Okay, let's go before that. They were allowed to be purchased by a single entity as competitors. That can happen, right? Even in my industry, we have competition within my own company. We have subsects of our company that are in competition with each other. We literally fight each other for bids.
Yeah.
So think about that. Okay, that is acceptable. However, there are certain things when it comes to monopoly. We are not a monopoly when it comes to that, which is why we're allowed to stay separate and fight each other. And actually, that is why we're kind of forced to stay separate and fight each other. So we are not a monopoly. We have to be competitive against each
That's
other.
competition is what
Right.
that's called. Yeah.
Right. And that's within our own bigger company. We have to fight each other. And according to the US laws too. So why are they not fighting against each other? Why are they now being combined without anybody saying anything? Lena Con, artist. Why are we not speaking up about this? Oh, wait, some of us are, but we don't hold any power to do so, right? But we do have to bring that forthright to the other people, right? What happened when gold went up, right? Double, triple, we all spoke up against it as gamers, right? That's what we're saying. As individuals, as gamers, we are speaking up against what is not just. And that's what we got to bring the attention. And of course, somebody pretty much lost their job on that one. But this here is being acceptable. Why? Why is it so? Why are we, as a subscriber, I understand if you subscribe to both, you don't see a difference. But you do see a difference because you lose certain purchases that you've made. So if you're still paying the same amount, why are you losing out on what you've already owned? Right? You bought that. Why are you losing out? It's the same company. It should just automatically transfer over to the same servers, same system. You can transfer certain things over, but you can't transfer over what you own. That doesn't make sense. There's a lot of things that don't make sense, and that's what we're asking for, is to be ethical as a company to your fan base, right? It doesn't matter which side of the coin you flip on, if you're green or blue, it doesn't matter any of that stuff. What matters is, as someone that's a consumer, you do right by them. And that's the problem that I'm seeing when it comes to Sony's Funimation and Crunchyroll merger on that. They're not doing right by anybody. They're just doing right by themselves. And then on top of that, if you only subscribe to one, now you're forced to subscribe to both, right? So if you leaned one way because you like the one style, or you lean the other way because you like the other style, now you have no choice. You're going to get what you get, and you're paying double. That doesn't make sense, And here's another little tidbit, right? Think about this, and just to put this in the mind of the corporation, Disney had their, what was it, like $9.99, $10.99 for their Disney Plus,
Yep.
right? They increased it by $3. What happened? They lost a lot of people.
Sure they did.
Right? But guess what? They still made more money off of that $3 for those that stayed versus those that left.
Yeah.
They made more money, right? They didn't lose anything. They made more money. They just have less subscribers, which is less traffic on their servers. Think about that. Why are they doing this? They're not going to lose more money. They're still making money. They're banking money. And
Well,
if you're
dude,
a sucker,
look at this. They doubled the price. They raised the price by
That's what I'm-
$45. I mean,
that's what I'm getting at. That's a lot, because if you had both, you were paying that anyway. But why would you have both? You would obviously more than likely pick one over the other for whatever, whatever reason, the content that they had, or the navigation, stuff like that, little minute things, which is like us, we have biases on the controllers, right? We go back and forth between PlayStation and Xbox on how we like our controllers laid out. So it's the same thing, we all have biases on that. But now you're forcing a person to double their payment to get pretty much things that are overlapping, and lose content that they paid for. Doesn't make sense. But this is what we're calling them out for. We're calling them out for this crap. That's what we're calling them out for, right? They keep on doing this, and why don't these journalists say something? Why is it okay for one, not the other, right? Always good for the goose. Why isn't it good for the gander? Right? Yep. That's all we're calling out for. We're not trying to say that well, maybe we are, but no, we're not. We're not trying to say that PlayStation's bad, Xbox is the only good thing out there. It's not that. They're both bad in their own ways, and they're both good in their own ways. What is good for you is what is most important. So if you spending $50 is good, so be it. I'm not the one to judge. But now you're spending $100, I might step in and try to stand by your side and say, hey, this ain't right. And that's the thing. That's the difference. We're trying to stand by those people and saying this ain't right. We're not saying, oh, we're on this side here of the fence and saying, you know what, you guys are wrong. You don't deserve this. You don't do it. No, we're not doing that. We're not pointing fingers. We're standing by your side and saying this isn't right. You shouldn't be abused like this. And that is what this is. This is abuse. This is mental brainwashing. And you guys don't see it. That's the problem, is a lot of people don't see it. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll take it because it's this company. It doesn't matter what company it is. It's brainwashing. You're falling victim to it and don't even know it. And you're agreeing to it. So why would you do this, right? Because, oh, that's right. Journalist A says, it's PlayStation. They can do no wrong. They can do everything right. And I will never call them out for it. But yet Xbox, I will call everything out for that. That's the thing that we're trying to fight against, and make everybody aware that there's more to this stuff than just let's be a lemming and fall off this cliff just because so-and-so said so. That's why I said observe, think, and make your own decisions. So
no, it's a phenomenal point. It is a phenomenal point. And again, we gotta you gotta call them out when it happens, and that's what we're doing here. And I think we're doing a pretty damn good job. No one's being overly pointed. We're just putting out the facts, and You digest it how you want to digest it. Listen, Fuzzy, let's get your hot take on this, brother. I mean, again, this is one of those. That's what I love about having a panel this big and having like this open arc. There is no one right answer or right way to come at it. So by all means, attack it from however you want to talk about it, brother.
Well, everyone's made some fabulous points on it. And I just look at it as this is where we don't see consistency in reporting as far as journalists are concerned. I mean, some will make statements, some within the PlayStation community will make statements, but not a vast majority of them like they would if it was, the smallest thing on the Xbox side. Um, as far as I'm concerned, it seems like Sony has kind of mistreated both of these brands for so long. As far as this should have been something rolled into PS Plus like eons ago, like ever since they acquired it. And now the fact that we have another situation where licensing on what were digital purchases are no longer your own to keep. Um, I think the big thing nowadays is that a lot of people are still trying to hold on to physical, and I think that battle is all but lost at this point. I think
Yeah.
you have to kind of rely on things like limited run and stuff like that, because a lot of the physical media out there, it's at least in gaming, is just a key or a license, and not the full game in a lot of cases. But when it comes to a digital movie or a song or something along those lines, you would think now that there would be legislation that's up to date and protect that your purchase will remain your purchase. I mean, sure, that store may close 10, 20 years down the road, but if you have that file saved on a hard drive, you should be able to, or be allowed to play or watch that or listen to that particular file, through some other player or something along those lines. The fact that people's digital purchases are going away is unacceptable, and the fact that there isn't more outcry on that just goes to show that there is that double standard once again. Xbox bad, PlayStation good kind of thing. But I I'm not much into anime, so it doesn't directly affect me, but I do understand that if I made a purchase, like even with the WB stuff, which is kind of weird, some of those movies that you may have purchased through Sony prior, when they were going through that contract negotiation that fell
You
apart
lost
before
them.
they eventually, resolved things. But to have that stuff taken away from you after you pay the price, not like a rental price. Like I can understand if you paid $4.99 or whatever the rental price is for that, and it's like, okay, after you watched it from that rental, you no longer have access to it. But if you paid like the full $17.99 or $29.99 for a movie or something from that, or like a season of those, like I used to do seasons for The Walking Dead on Apple, and that, after a while I just got tired of how they would say it's supposed to be released at a certain time, and it wasn't like on East Coast time, and it was always like a day late in comparison to just watch it on AMC. But all of that to be said, there should never be a case, or it should never be allowed that a company that accepted your money can take something away without either refunding you in full or making some sort of amend to have it where, okay, you can transfer this file to Netflix, or transfer it to Prime, or just transfer it to your hard drive and watch it on your computer or on your phone or whatever. But the fact that there isn't more digging into this, or I know it's probably going to be a small number of people, but class action suit seems like something that might be worthwhile looking into. But Sony's going to keep on doing these types of things as long as they know they can get away with it. And if people that, especially on the PlayStation side, only want to see their console survive this console space kind of thing, expect more of these types of things, like your PS3 library that you can't really even transfer over or keep, or the fact that a lot of the stuff that was in the digital store that they were about to close, that everybody kind of raised a stink about, and then they forgot about it, and then they wound up closing it again anyway after delaying that closure. So Sony is notorious for this stuff, and then not much of a murmur is out there. It feels weird that more people on like the Xbox side or outside of the PlayStation ecosystem, although I'm in the PlayStation ecosystem, but those that their main ecosystem is outside of PlayStation seem to make more noise about the stuff where stuff's being taken away or choices being limited or restricted than the people that's actually in the ecosystem. I mean, I guess not knocking Apple fans, but I guess they kind of like that, walled garden being dictated
Herd
to them out, or
mentality, are you suggesting, sir?
but whatever the case may be, it feels weird to me that this isn't a bigger story. There isn't more call to action as far as, either give us, our digital, stuff that we purchase, so we can download it, keep the file somewhere and play it, even be able to play it on a PlayStation, even though it's not accessible from, the store or whatever type of thing. Just have it where you can download that file, put it on the thumb drive, play it on your PlayStation or, your computer or whatever the case may be. But, it's a long list of stuff that's one-sided when it comes to Sony. So, being that preferred or the, the market leader that has the, the minds of the masses, they can get away with it. So be it. But it just sucks. And I think it's, what is it like Dreadpool usually says, deceptive practices. Yeah, this definitely falls under that as far as deceptive practices and things that, they shouldn't be allowed to do. But that's all I got.
No, I mean it's again it's one of those situations where it's not PlayStation per se, it's SIE or Sony Interactive Entertainment, but they are one company. And if Xbox makes f's up, Microsoft should be held accountable, and this is the same way. This is egregious behavior. Not enough people are talking about it. You mentioned the regulatory knucklehead known as Lena Khan, who seems to be so laser focused on this ABK thing that the entire world has already said, yeah, it's not a problem. It's fine. Games are everywhere already. It appears that, the moniker of Xbox everywhere is a thing. People are talking about it. I saw Destin Legary talk about it, saying, I coined a new term. That's the kind of term that's been out there. I don't think he coined it. I think that's what it's probably going to be called. It makes sense because Xbox is going to be and already is everywhere. So it entirely makes sense. So I don't know how she would argue you can get this kind of value and it's literally available everywhere. But Sony, don't worry about those guys. They're just stealing people's digital libraries and telling you to go F yourself if you have a problem. It's fine. It's one of those things to get nothing to see here, folks, and the whole world is exploding behind you. It's fine. It's just dumb.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see there with the goalposts being moved consistently, and that's a lot of people. That's a lot of Sony players. Who's the red shirt guy? I bet you that's the guy that dies on that the red shirt guy for sure. He's definitely going. The rest of everyone else, those are the main crew. So they're safe.
The guaranteed one to take the hit.
Definitely the red shirt guy. If you're a Star Trek fan, if you know, right? That's what they say. But look, real quick, I got to catch up on Super Chats. I got to run a commercial for the Valari gaming pillow, and then we're going to get into Avowed because we got some new information from the director or the producer of the game. I'm very excited. The more I hear about this game, the more I see about it, the more feedback that they give us from our feedback about the combat specifically is, a lot of people like, it seems a little floaty. They're addressing it. It's going to be more punchy, more hard hitting, which from what we understand, that's great to know. That is coming out this year. But let me get to the super chats. Let me do that now. Okay, so the first super chat of the day, folks, comes to the way of Game Shark, who drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, on anti-consumer decisions after another, one anti-consumer decision after another and nothing. Xbox has a rumor, and we bring out the pitchforks and shout betrayal. Please. I mean, you're not wrong, brother. You're definitely not wrong. Andre Doyle actually responds to my two console theory that I was told is a thing, and that they're going to have equal power, or at least they're targeting equal power. He says this after dropping a $5 super chat. Microsoft has enough money to make the new Xbox PC hybrid powered by the Zen 5 processors with 64 cores and 128 threads, powered by AI, which I think AI is going to be a big part of it. Love the show, guys. Well, thanks so much for the kind words and, of course, the generosity. Andre Highlander 001 gifts another 5 double barrel gaming memberships. Jesus Christmas, dude. That is crazy generous of you. Thank you so much for the outstanding support. And folks, if you get notified, if you got one of the memberships, please thank him in the chat. That would be greatly appreciated. He drops an additional very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "Morning, everyone. I find it funny that Sony content creators are talking about Xbox, what games they want on PlayStation 5, and not Helldivers 2 or Foam Stars." Well, I mean, it's isn't it? Isn't it like Bizarro World? Like, you would think that the crux of any PlayStation podcast would be, wow, man, Final Fantasy 7, the rebirth looks freaking amazing, right? Like, I'm so excited for that game. That could be it. Or, man, Foam Stars, it is what it is. Put it out there. Is it terrible? Is it a ripoff? Is no one talking about it because no one gives a flying hootenanny? I think that's really what it comes down to. And Helldivers, look, they got me to spend the money, and I didn't even cheap out. Like, yep, there it is, Dread. I didn't even cheap out. I bought the $60 edition. I'm sure the people are like, boy, that guy's a dope. Giving Sony 20 extra bucks. I buy all of their games digital deluxe. I just, I'm not rich, but I don't have to spend money on Xbox except for
that's what's called being a gamer.
Yeah. I'd like to hope so, to be honest with you. So we have here Eli. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says the content that users will lose access to are digital copies that were a digital access included with physical DVDs, Blu-rays previously purchased, but they're still yours. It's still your content, and you've lost it. What if Eli? And thank you for the generosity, brother. Appreciate you being here. What if you are someone like me who got rid of a lot of your physical media, right? But you're like, well, I don't need this disc, this coaster here. I don't need that. Recycled or sold, whatever. You have your digital one that you bought. You bought back in the days, DVDs, almost everything came with a digital copy. That's awesome, right? You're getting double. You're getting one on digital that's yours, and one that's physical that's yours. If you got rid of the physical, your digital, now it's gone. So it's you paid for it. Maybe you didn't buy it from Funimation, but you paid for it under the brand. And now that's gone. You lost access to it because they merged. No cross pollination at all. That's a problem. What's up, Fuzzy?
No, I was going to say, not only that, like, even if you have your DVDs and Blu-rays in a temperature controlled climate, they only last but so long before
they
they're
degrade.
non-playable.
Yes, correct.
So digital, at least as long as you have it on a hard drive, I mean,
you're good.
Backup copy, you'll always have it.
Yeah, and the lasers go out. So if you don't have that device that reads it, that becomes no good. I mean, that's the whole thing of having both copies. Granted, your hard drive could go out. So if your hard drive goes out, you lose everything. But that's the whole thing, is key in knowing that certain products have a certain lifespan, no matter what they are. When I have hard drives, every 5 years, all those older hard drives get replaced right away, because 5 years is the lifespan, and some of them only last 3 years.
Yeah, listen, you've read about it more times than not. You've read about it more times than not, folks. Right? When these things happen, you're a consumer. You spend the money. It's not right. No matter how you slice the pie, it's not right. But what is right is the commercial I'm about to run. Because listen, folks, I put it out there. I'm as clear as glass. I have back problems. It's what cost me my career. I was put together surgically. I'm fused L4, L5, S1. It's crazy how much hardware is holding me together. But with that said, it's one of the reasons why Mrs. Boom and I were really, really serious about partnering with the Volari Gaming Pillow Company. The pillow is a gaming pillow that keeps your posture very straight, which is something I need, because I don't know about you guys, I hunch over a little bit, and it's a bit uncomfortable, and it holds up your hands with in comfort. Now, again, when they reached out to us last year, we were a little skeptical because we get 10 offers a week. The business email consistently gets, hey, try out this controller, try out this camera lighting. And look, this brand is incredibly important to us. We work super hard to get here, and we're not going to whore out the brand. So we're very, very meticulous on who we work. And this particular, because it's personal, this particular company, the Valeri Gaming Pillow Company, is something we really wanted to work with because the actual product works. I use it. And that we've partnered. I had a commercial made by the incredibly talented Sean Labrie. And folks, if you are interested in the pillow, you can go to the show notes. The link for the ValeriGamingPillow.com is there. If you type in the code DBG15 at checkout, you save 15% off of your entire order. And please check out the commercial. And there you go, folks. Like I said, check out the. You can simply just go to the ValeriGamingPillow.com, or you can go over to the show notes, click it, go into the where I have all the stuff that's linked with the channel. Click that, and on your way out the door, if you're going to buy a pillow, DBG15 at checkout, and you'll be good to go. You get 15% off your entire order. And if you do get a pillow, let me know so I can shout you out and let me know if it works for you. But Fuzzy Belvedere, I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to go right back to you. Avowed is a game that is expected to release this year. We've seen a lot of this game so far. We've seen consistent updates from multiple people working on the game. But more specifically, the Avowed director, Carrie Patel, reached out and was talking with comicbook.com regarding what we can expect and what we shouldn't expect. Now, one of the things that we got immediately is this was compared to a Bethesda game, Elder Scrolls, for instance. This is not an Elder Scrolls game, folks. This is an Obsidian joint. It is going to play like an Obsidian game. But I think what's interesting is how Carrie actually explained and compared this more so to New Vegas than any of what Bethesda did. And I think this is fair. And what I will say is unfair is, folks, listen, we have to understand that you need to start reviewing and playing these games on the game that was delivered, not what you were anticipating, not what you were expecting, not what you want. A perfect example of that is the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad is a phenomenal game, but it is not an Arkham game. And it got destroyed in the reviews because it was not an Arkham game. Can we get to a point where we can review a game based on the freaking game that's in front of us? It's a looter shooter. If that's not your bag, you're probably not going to enjoy it. I freaking love it, but that's me. Well, this is what Carrie had to say in this interview, or one of the points that she made. She says this, Fuzzy Belvedere. I think there's an appetite for games that are big, sprawling RPGs with a ton of openness, but also games that are more curated, but also still maintain these elements of choice, character building, and progression. I think New Vegas is also full of those moments where we don't want to handhold the player, but still, if players have the skill, they can still defeat these moments. I think New Vegas does a wonderful job of building the player experience, not just through the critical plan, but the side quests and secrets you can discover in the world. That's a really great balance of consistency and variety. You want players to experience novelty and surprise, but also make sure all of these micro elements you're putting together are leading to the player towards the same cohesive experience. And of course, she's comparing the New Vegas experience to what people should expect in Avowed. Does that bother you in any way, Fuzzy?
No, actually, I was hoping it would be more along those lines, or even like the way Outer Worlds was. Um, to have more of a consent or a consequence based type of choice making, potentially having multiple types of endings where it doesn't have to be something I have to sink 80 plus or 800 hours into, something that's going to be a little bit more focused, but you have a lot of different paths that you could take. But I think the choices aspect, because some people will say, like with Bethesda games, the choices don't seem to matter as much in some of their games. But when it came to Outer Worlds, although I think they want you to have one particular ending, you do have a good bit of choice and choose whoever you choose as your companions, or how you approach some of the confrontations and things like that will ultimately determine how your story ends or how it goes overall. But I didn't really want this to be a long sprawling like Elder Scrolls type of game. I was hoping more so for like
So you don't want
a
800 hours of your life stolen, but you're okay with about maybe 60.
yeah, because I'm still playing Starfield, so that's at the 800 plus already. So I don't need another 800 plus game. But having this where it's a smaller experience, but more like meaningful choices and things like that is more of what I was hoping for. I just basically wanted more of a fantasy aspect of Outer Worlds where you know you make your decisions, you pick your companions that travel with you. They've already shown that there are going to be side quests or just side areas that you might stumble across, exploring a bit, but it's not like there's endless areas to explore that are going to take you down a rabbit hole for 20 or 40 hours just on one little storyline and things like that. So I'm fine that this isn't geared to be Elder Scrolls. If it's more like your Fallout New Vegas, that's perfectly fine, and that will fit the time frame in which I was looking to play this game, as opposed to something like an Assassin's Creed where it's like 80 hours and you're only halfway done kind of thing. But yeah, I like the fact that they've tailored it a little bit more, or narrowed it down a bit more in comparison.
Yeah, I've what I've seen, again, we don't know. They showed us what they want us to see. There's a lot more that they haven't shown us. A lot of the stuff is going to be obviously kept secret, because who the hell wants spoilers? Get that that in a game that big. Me personally, I like the way I'm already been pointed towards how the character relationship's going to work, how the choices you make are going to matter. Some of the paths that, like for instance, they were talking about in the last, the extended trailer that we saw that they did in the Xbox podcast, where they showed an area that can be completely missed. I like that, because I'm one of those guys that, like for instance, Spider-Man 2 is a game that I know a lot of people, oh, I ran through it in 14 hours. Good on you. I'll put 50 hours into it. I am a pinch of just under 30 hours in Suicide Squad. And here's the thing, folks. It's going to sound ridiculous. I have not killed one of the Justice League yet. I am just about to fight the Flash. But that's my choice. I mean, I could have went and fought him the minute it came up on the screen. But I'm leveling up. I'm changing my gear. There's actually gear slots I haven't even unlocked yet. But that is how I play these big games. I like map games. I like games with a lot of stuff to do, which is how I'm going to play this. But yeah, interesting. Again, I'm like you. I don't mind 200-300 hour game. I don't mind that at all. But I wouldn't be against a 50-hour Avowed experience. Like if I got 50 good hours into this game, I went down every path that I saw that it was off to the left or to the right. I got some different choices. I'm going to be the good guy, because I'm always going to be the good guy. Again, it's a moral thing. It's a moral compass personally. Like even when I want to be a scumbag, I can't. It's like I can't be a bad guy, because I don't like being a bad guy. I like actually being a really good guy. It's just who I am. So even when I can role play as a POS, I can't do it. It's the craziest thing.
No, I understand. I'm the same way. Same
Yeah.
way.
It's silly. I know it's just games, folks, but it's just, it's how I play. Crispy Bomb, let's bring you into the conversation, kind sir. Again, we know maybe this isn't your type of game, but when you get some clarification from one of the more important people that are helping produce this game, I really think it should set expectations where people need to put them. Because one of the things that we've seen, and I said it in my opening, I think we're at a point where people are reviewing and talking about games that they want, not talking about games that they're getting. Now, I get it. You have favorite developer A, and they make these type of games, and they've made these games all of their existence, and they make something different. You're like, well, that's not what I wanted. Well, I hear you, but no one told you to buy it. They chose a different path. But the thing about Obsidian is they are who we thought that they were. Um, all of their games have been choice based. It's been big but not overly abundant in size, right? Outer Worlds is the perfect example of still having that character interaction. What you do with the characters matters. Your choices matter. If you become some sort of a lunatic, nobody wants to roll with you because but there are some characters that love that kind of behavior. Well, it seems like Avowed is going to be like that as well. Something that you're interested in.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, the first person, I wish you could switch to third person.
Kind of. So do I. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I kind of wish there was an option, but
because at the end of the day, like New Vegas, I loved being able to switch because like it was almost you would miss things if you were in first person, and then you look at you'd be like, oh, what's that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it just gave you a different perspective. Now, when you compare New Vegas, I mean, I at least had 100 hours in that game. I beat it as neutral, so I basically had to. I don't know. It was pretty magical because I heard not a lot of people have done that. It's very difficult because you have to make certain point in choices. You basically see him as a good guy, but also some consider you bad. And some of these factions, it's sounding like they're going to be like little factions in there. You're going to have, some that seem really good, but if you make certain choices, you realize that they're not really good. And then you have to make the choice of, do I take them out or don't I? This is what it's sounding like. I like the loadout thing they got going on. I'm sure we'll see more of that when you actually get the game in your hands. How they, right now it seems very generic, but I'm sure they have a good mentality about it. I would like it to be like a little bit longer than Outer Worlds. I mean, I'm pretty far in it. I haven't beat it, but I could tell I'm getting towards the end. And, I want it to be a little bit more open, kind of like New Vegas. I think New Vegas is a good spot to hit on. It's not, we already got Starfield out there. We don't need that. That's,
yep.
People are going to be playing that for a long time. Some people are never going to beat it because, I'm kind of like that way as well. Like it took me forever to finish Fallout 3, Fallout 4. I mean, I don't even remember if I finished it yet, to be honest with you. That building thing that really like made it way like
I didn't know what to do. Like
I was like, whoa.
I built like a box for like the achievement, and I was like, yeah, that's it.
Dude, I should have done that. And I started building, and I have like all of these giant settlements, like, and now it's like, oh, one's getting attacked. Oh god, I'm on the story. Oh, one's getting attacked. I'd leave the story because, like, it's like one of the main ones that connects all of the routes, for all the things I'm getting. Like, there's so much involved in that game. I would like something like, that's in between Outer Worlds and New Vegas, or even if it's just New Vegas long. I think that is a great way to go. There's so many games out there. You've got Starfield chilling there. You've got people that still go back to Fallout 4 and stuff like that. There's plenty of games that can be, a lifetime long in your eyes. So I just look at it and I say, fall a little bit between, Outer Worlds in New Vegas. I think that would be a good way to go.
I agree. Like, look, I'm glad that they're getting out here. One of the things I find to be fascinating as a consumer, but more of like a dedicated Xbox person, is they're not shying away from the conversation. They are answering the questions. They are trying to address it. The game is, I mean, we don't have a release date. We don't know when it's going to be. I don't think it's before Hellblade in May. I think that this is probably going to be closer towards the end of the year, which is fine. I think they can, they have an opportunity to add some of that oomph, if you will, to the combat that people are looking for. I thought the combat was fine. I do. You can do wield, which I think is really dope. You can dual spell cast, which is freaking crap. I've never seen a game do that, which that's pretty dope. Not how I'm going to personally play. I'm probably going to use the old boring sword and shield kind of a situation, but that's just me. But I do like holding the two swords. But I do understand some people's concerns. Look, it's Obsidian, folks. I'm sorry to say they don't freaking miss, man. They just don't miss. Dreadpool, let's bring you into the conversation, sir. This is one of those games. Listen, I know that there's going to be some conversation. AAA, AA, I don't know where it's an important Xbox exclusive. We know based on this interview with comicbook.com that it's more inclined to be like New Vegas, which it's my favorite Fallout of all of them, even though even above 3, which I loved. And we know what we're getting, right? We know it's going to have hidden stuff that you could miss. What are your thoughts on the fact that they're comparing this or trying to engage with the gamer to give the perspective of, hey, this was what it's more like than this? Because I think it's a very unfair comparison. Oh, it's going to be like Elder Scrolls. I don't like that. It's not going to be like Elder Scrolls. It's an open world, first person, fantasy game. I think that's as close as it gets. What are your thoughts, man?
I think the comparisons cause this stuff to you. You start doing that, but the whole thing is it's really primitive, idiotic. What else could I say? It just doesn't make sense. These people are just too busy trying to create nonsense is what it is, right? So if it's AAA or quadruple A, who cares, right? A lot of metric doesn't count anymore. It depends on how much money they put in advertising. It depends on how big the studio is. You could have a smaller studio and have all this advertising, and also now it pushes it up as if it's a AAA and it's a AA game. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of these metrics don't really matter anymore. What matters is the game good? And what it matters is the game for me or not, right? That's what it should matter for you. If this is a game you're interested in, then this should be what you're interested in, right? And knowing the facts is part of the thing to know if this is a game that's going to be something that's for you, right? So, okay, let's do these weird comparisons, right? Because this is what we're doing right now, right? This is what we're doing. Call of Duty versus Halo. Totally different games. They're both first-person shooters. They're still in the same realm of first-person shooter, right?
Yep.
The way that
Very
they
true.
navigate, the way that they shoot, because it's a gun, the way that you play, the style is different. Okay, so yeah, we're going to put it as comparison when it comes to first-person shooter, but nobody's really comparing Halo to Call of Duty. There are some comparisons that we are doing that with on which one we like better, which one flows better, which one has better things, right? But they're not saying that Call of Duty and Halo are the exact same copycat. This is what we're doing, right? Xbox International is not Breakfast with Boom, is it? No. Both great podcasts, but they're not the same podcast.
And you'll never see me do a video in the shower. I'm just saying, Louis, I love you, brother, but it's just not happening.
Or flipping out of your chair,
or falling, or getting arrested on the way to a podcast, which is something that actually happened. He got locked up, and he came out from jail and was on the podcast. I mean, who can say that?
Right. So, and that's my thing
Yeah.
on this, right? How are you going to compare it when you know Obsidian and Bethesda have RPGs that are comparable in only the fact that they're RPGs. They've always made their version of an RPG. They have their style, these guys have their style. So why is it that we have to say that, oh well, you know, we feel that it's going to overlap with Skyrim. It's gonna you know, be a Skyrim clone. I mean, this isn't the first time that this has come up, right? Everybody was like comparing it to Skyrim. You know, they should do something different. Why are they doing a copycat? It's just going to be another clone. Why are they doing that? You know, we called them out on that too. Why are they doing that? Okay. So Kerry Patel is not Todd Howard. The way that they direct their games are totally different. The teams are totally different. Again, their styles are totally different. I, for one, never expected to play Skyrim when I turn on Avowed. I'm telling you that right now. What did I say before? Not interested in Avowed. Wasn't interested at all, right? Then the last couple of drops, I was like, okay, my mind's changed. We can double wand. We can do this. We can do. All right, this is cool. Everybody's complaining about the colors. Oh my God, I was expecting it to be dark. Okay, well,
Yeah,
when you
yes.
play the previous lineage of the game, it was dark, but it was still colorful. So again, the hypocrisy is out there. It's like, if you haven't played the game, why are you talking about it? You know, we're talking about excitement. We're not talking about knowledge of the game. You know, but you're acting like you're talking about knowledge of the game, but your knowledge is lacking. And here they are with an interview saying it's more like the other games that we've made before. Fallout New Vegas. This is how we've made our games before.
Yes.
This is what we are known to do. Why is it a surprise to everybody else in the internet? And that's right. Twitter. We like the hypocrisy. We like the drama of, oh my God, the sky is falling. Please stop falling for those idiots. Okay.
Not falling for the rope of dope. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Hold on. Look at my shoes. Look at my feet. Come on now. Really? Don't.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, listen, it's going to be a good game. I would even dare say it's going to be a great game. And listen, I'm stoked. It's Obsidian. Could you go wrong?
Yeah. Can't.
So let's bring in Sound Cipher. Sound Cipher, look, again, I get disappointed when I start to see this kind of rhetoric in the community, but more so from like the gaming media. Again, once again, it's just that this is not a Skyrim. It's just not Skyrim. It is an Obsidian joint. Why can't we be excited for the fact that we're getting a new Obsidian game in a world that I literally have no one-to-one comparison? I've never played any of the games in this world. It's the Pillars. It's just it's a genre that I don't play. So this is going to be my personal first introduction into the Pillars universe. I'm super stoked just for that. And I said it from the beginning, literally when this game was announced, we were like, oh my God, there it is, Skyrim part whatever. It's not. And you shouldn't judge the game based on it. Are you happy with the clarification?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't affect me like one way or another personally. Like I'm going to play the game and I'm going to either like it or I'm going to not like it. But people get so bent out of shape about it. And you ask like, why can't we have these things? Like, this is why we can't have good things. Is because there's a bunch of whiners that throw a fit about it every time that it's not exactly fitting into that mold that they want. Oh, it's not Elder Scrolls, it's garbage. Like, who cares? Like, it's going to be an interesting game. It looks like it's going to be a fun game. I'm cool with it. Like, I'm looking forward to it. I guess I'm glad they came out there and they made clarification for those people who were like worried. But I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like, we're here to play video games. And I think it was Crispy was saying, or Dread was saying, is like, at the end of the day, if you enjoy the game, that's what matters. Like,
Yeah.
So I just don't understand why people get so bent out of shape about it. Like, it looks like it'll be fun. Good news, if you have Game Pass, you have access to it right there. So if it turns out to be what you want, awesome. If it turns out not to be your bag, guess what? You didn't pay 60 or 70 bucks for it. Like it's a win either way. It is what it is. Skyrim will always be a legend in this industry for both just the fact that it's come out so many times now, but also like just the fact that it is such a big thing. It has such a big following. But to put everything else that's come out afterwards in its shadow and be like, yeah, but it's not Skyrim or it's not, Oblivion or whatever, like it's whatever. Play the game, enjoy it, and just, move on with life.
I agree. And I look, no, I'm not saying that the game should be discounted because it's in Game Pass. Well, it's in Game Pass, but Silent Cypher's not wrong. One of the great things about owning an Xbox, or whether you play on PC, wherever, is that you are not spending $70 to buy a game that you may or may not like. You have your service, you pay for it, you download the game. You know how many games I've downloaded before? Like, for instance, one of the series, I don't understand it. I cannot, for the freaking life of me, get into it. And that's the Yakuza series. Like, it is, every time I see people talking about, like, what am I missing? What am I missing? But I've downloaded every one of them that's on Game Pass, and I'm like, all right, this is where I find what I'm looking for. And I'm disappointed. And I just delete it. I'm like, yeah, it's just not for me. Same thing with Persona. I'm like, this game looks amazing, but it's just not for me.
Did you try Like a Dragon too?
I did, and it's no, man. It's just
okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it takes
not every game's for everyone.
You know what it is? Also, it's a time consumer. It eats your time. Right? It really does. And unfortunately, one of the things that I have a severe need for is time. Again, not that this is anyone's problem but my own, and it's not really a problem. I do 5 shows a week. I maintain the house while Mrs. Boom is at work, right? So I take care of all of which is great for me because I get to listen to everyone's podcast. Like this morning, I listened to PM and the PM. Phenomenal show as always, but I did the wash. So for the 2 hours I'm doing the wash, I'm checking out PM and the PM. It works out. So I don't have a lot of time. So I try to pick a specific game or franchise that I really enjoy, and I go into it, right? And so that's really what it comes down to. But look, folks, we have to catch up on super chats here. We have another topic to get into, and it's regarding Call of Duty. I'm not going to front. This is going to aggravate some people. It excites me, and I'm going to tell you what it is in a hot second. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, if the media projects Sony as the winner, the fanboy sites trash Xbox. The FTC takes out ABK, they all win. They only care about winning. Very sad. Yeah, well, they're not going to take them out. The FTC is wasting millions of dollars of taxpayer money. They're going to lose. They don't have a case. It's embarrassing. It really is just embarrassing. And leadership is a real problem there. The leader of the FTC, i.e., Lena Khan, is very pointed. She seems very narrow-minded, and she gets onto something, and everything else is falling apart around her. But she's just still, like laser focused on the ABK thing, as if it hasn't been approved by the entire freaking planet. It's sad. They need to make some big changes at the FTC, and hopefully that will come soon. We have Sherman Jacob. Sherman, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the program. He has been a channel member for 3 months, and he says this. Great show today. Awesome panel. Breakfast with Boom is my favorite show of the week. Oh, that's awesome of you to say, brother. I'm glad you enjoy the banter. And today we're having a good roundtable of discussion here, I think. So I'm gonna go first here to Silent Cypher. I'm going right back to you, Silent. Look, folks, this is gonna probably piss off a whole bunch of purists, and I apologize for enjoying a particular brand of gaming that I love to spend hours upon hours upon hours. Now, Hazardor Gaming, who is one of the more pointed news hounds, if you will, on X or Twitter. He's consistently putting out phenomenal posts that you wanna read and you want to talk about. So of course, thanks to him for putting this out there. He posted something from Insider Gaming. That of course, if you know that is Tom Henderson's website. And he says this: Call of Duty to embrace open world campaigns in Black Ops, Gulf War, and beyond. Hashtag Activision. The game's open world will see the player and their squad navigate the map more akin to Far Cry than anything we've seen before in the Call of Duty universe. Now, people are probably raging right now. I love the Far Cry games. I've beaten them all except for the last one. And again, 50, 60, 70, even 80 hours in these games. I love an open world. I love a map. I love a big old map game. I think that even though I appreciate the way Call of Duty has been made in the past, where it's this campaign, you have these big bombastic moments, they're your big, Brockheimer set pieces, things are exploding, people are dying all over the place, you're shooting terrorists by the dozen. It's great. It's like it's a popcorn movie that you want to watch, and then somehow we are able to play it, we're able to live it. It's great. But that it gets a little long in the tooth. You know what I'm saying? How many times are you going to tell the same story? If they can somehow figure out a way, Silent Cypher, to incorporate these big set piece moments and somehow open the world where you make the choice on how to get to these big set piece moments, because it's going to tell a story, right? It's going to tell a overarching story of whatever, terrorism, big surprise, the Gulf War, right? Okay, so it's going to be about the Gulf War. But what I think is interesting, and anyone in the chat, by all means, please push back. Same thing for the panel. If you feel I'm going too left wing here, I like the idea of player choice. I like saying, okay, the story is this, but how I got there is much different than how you got there or how you got there, right? It's going to be similar, of course. It's a game. But I like the idea of being able to choose how you get to these big points, these big story points. I don't know. Am I rambling here, Silent Cypher? What do you think about the report coming from Insider Gaming via Hazardor Gaming on Twitter?
So I'll first start off with, no, you're not rambling. Like I get it. Like you're trying to put together your thoughts on this and you're excited about it. Like obviously I can tell you're excited about this prospect. For me, moving on to this, like personally, I've always been a real big fan of the campaign side of things. I've enjoyed that like linear dive. Like you said, it's like one of those massive big budget movies where you're
Jerry
just literally
Bruckheimer film. Everything is
thrown into those
exploding
shoes.
and everyone's dying and
Yeah.
its stakes are on the line. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they do.
And they've done a really good job with that a lot of the time. Like you said, it definitely does get repetitive. It kind of becomes like, okay, well, this is the same type of thing again and again. Okay, bad guy did something, now I'm chasing him, blah blah blah. And in a linear fashion, that doesn't always work out very well. It doesn't hold people's interest as well. Now, if you had that type of thing, like you look at Far Cry, the Far Cry games, like you mentioned, something like that, even if it's oh, you're going to get the bad guy or whatever, like you said, you have the option of how you get to that point, of how you get to that person, how you level up, what resources you get, all that stuff going into those battles. So it kind of helps refresh that approach a little bit, right? Like it makes it so it's more interesting or maybe more engaging for some people than just that linear fashion. And when you mention that and when you mention it with the article and stuff, I think the thing is like I don't know a lot about Gulf War. Shame on me. But in regards to something like this, the first thing I think right off the bat when you mention like an open world Call of Duty or something, right? I think of like the World War II landing on the beaches of Normandy, right? Like you've got that moment where I could easily see it being a thing of like, okay, we made it just barely, like by the skin of our teeth, with very minimal weaponry up to the base of the cliffs. And now like we're trying to make sure that we get our stuff. Like maybe we go over to this area and we attack this section, we get rid of these bunkers, maybe we level up a bit right here so we can actually go up and we can fight against like maybe some mortars or something like that. I could see something like that. That's what I envision really fast, is like the opportunity for you to attack that battlefield in the way that you prefer, and in the time frame that you prefer, right? Like you could go off and maybe do some side missions, do some stuff, come back when you're like a higher level or you've got better weaponry, come over, take out those bunkers, take out those mortars or whatever. And I think that's kind of a cool idea. Like you said, the linear fashion they've been using ever since the beginning, like with these games. And I think something like this could possibly reinvigorate maybe the interest in people jumping into these Call of Duty campaigns, right? Like it's not your dad's old Call of Duty. It's not the one we grew up with. It's a new take on it. It's a new idea. And I do think that could actually breathe some extra like fresh life into that campaign approach.
I like what you're putting down. Again, it may not be for everyone, but it's for me. It's definitely for me. I think that if you give me a big game that's telling a, because like for instance, just for some clarification here, Fuzzy, I'll bring you in right now. According to the article that was written by Tom Henderson, of course, of Insider Gaming, um, he goes on to say that this won't be the first time that the series has seen an open world-esque campaign, though, as the first glimpse of what such a campaign would look like was first explored with Modern Warfare 3. Now, that didn't get a lot of great feedback. I enjoyed it. That's for me. I wound up finding every weapon that you can find in those open world campaign missions for the achievement, which I freaking love doing. But he says this: it's an open world. It's open world missions. However, sources to Tom explained that unlike Modern Warfare 3, Gulf War's campaign has been built from the ground up rather than using assets from previous entries. Does that make it sound any better for you? I mean, are you a purist for Call of Duty, or are you open to some change?
I'm definitely open to some change, especially if it's going to be based on like the time when I signed for the military with the Gulf War and stuff. So I'm looking forward to this. But the key game that always comes to mind when I hear more of an open world, you know, war type of simulator, although this isn't exactly that. That's more of like your armors and things like that. But for me, I look back at Ghost Recon Wildlands. Like that was as far as recent Ghost Recons, that was one of my favorite because you had an overall mission and you know what that was, but you could go about it however you wanted. Now, some bosses were a little bit harder to take on in certain areas because you had the helicopters and the other army protecting them, but you could approach it however you want. Now, keep in mind that was with AI, teammates, or you could team up or squad up with three other people. But I would love to see how they do their interpretation, kind of like the way Ghost Recon is. Wildlands, considering how big the map was and the various areas, although I can't imagine it being various areas like during Desert Storm time frame or the Gulf War time frame, it was pretty much one biome or a couple of different things as far as like close combat or open fields and things like that. But having it where it's open, like an open world setup, gives you the ability to approach it how you choose or try a few different things. Like I know there's people that are going to try to go to probably the hardest sections first and then work backwards. I'll probably just work through the easy all the way up to the hard part so that way I can have my weapons leveled up and stuff. But I'm all for it. I wish more games would experiment with their formula. I mean, we keep on talking about, like, with Far Cry, reviewers didn't want Far Cry 6 to be another Far Cry game, but it's Far Cry. So what do you expect it to be, kind of thing? But I don't necessarily want them to necessarily get rid of the open world aspect of it, but to change a few things up. Maybe this time around in a Far Cry game, as far as Call of Duty, as long as you're, still with the coalition forces and working against, some sort of threat,
Yes.
that's the heart, the meat and potatoes of it. But open world, presents a new challenge, and I'm looking forward to it, especially if it's like Wildlands. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I again, it's okay. So using Modern Warfare 3 as comparison is probably not going to set the world on fire. A lot of people didn't like it. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I said, I played through it. Yes, was it traditional? Was it tacked on? I get it. I understand it. But every one of those open world missions where there's a goal, you got to get to the goal, but how you got to that goal, it's up to you. Go in guns blazing, go in stealth. I stealthed the shit out of everything until I couldn't anymore. Until there was just too much turmoil. I was like, you know what? Time to break out the bazooka and start blowing everything up. That's how it was. But there was some things to that gameplay that kept me going back. There were some boards that I did like 7 times because I was trying to find every weapon. Like they had there's an achievement to bind every one of the special weapons that you can use. I loved doing it. It was a gameplay loop that hooked me in, and I had a freaking blast with it. I'm a Far Cry guy. I have always been. I didn't beat the last one, but I have at least 40, 50 hours into it. And I'm close to beating at the end, but I don't beat these games. I don't run through the story. I like going out and doing my own thing, which is what I'm doing. Like the perfect example of Suicide Squad. I'm nearly 30 hours in, and I have not even fought one of the Justice League yet because I'm in no rush to do it. I'm just having a fun, and that's what you're supposed to do with games. Crispy Bomb, you're our multiplayer guy. One of the things I found interesting with this story is let's see where I have in front of me. The multiplayer is being done by Treyarch, which they're phenomenal, but the actual campaign is being developed by Raven Software. Are you concerned for the identity of Call of Duty single player?
Come on, Boom. You know me. I am not a COD fan at all, dude. So this is actually,
so it's fine.
Yeah, no, and that's that's me. It has something. I've been turned off of that multiplayer a long time ago. So I'm sure the COD peers, as long as the multiplayer is good, they might have gripes about this, but at the end of the day, they're still going to pick it up. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, having this little nuances and saying, hey, we're doing something a little different could intrigue someone like me. Probably not going to, because I wasn't ever interested in Far Cry either. That's just me. It's a me thing. It's fine. Not every game's for everyone. At the end of the day, I would not even think about Call of Duty multiplayer in my realm. I mean, I have been smashed so hard in that game. I just no. So, if I bought it, it would only be for that. And I think as far as me to get intrigued, they would have to go a lot open world, because that is a time frame when I was very, very young, and I would actually like to explore it because I was maybe 4. You know what I mean? And I remember bits and pieces. I remember when they're rolling through the desert with now I know it's an M1 Abrams, and you just see these massive tanks just taking on like everything and just rolling right through. I mean, it would be something that I would definitely consider, just because it's a part in my memory. But as long as it gives you that experience, like, hey, this possibly is what transpired in ways, you know what I mean? This is the setting that they were in. Like, it intrigues me a little bit, a little more than in Call of Duty would normally. So I say go for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, the last Call of Duty was not well received at all. And the one before that, Modern Warfare 2, 1 and 2, the remakes, reboots, whatever you want to call them, were really good. Like, they were really, really good. Really well done. Very, very classic, storytelling, very classic way of big bombastic moments. You had all the big explosions. I loved them. They were phenomenal. But this sounds interesting to me because again, it's a Gulf War. I don't think that we've had a real telling in Call of Duty with that. Um, it's probably going to have a big story, which I cannot wait. Some returning characters from Black Ops are expected to be there, which is even more exciting if you are a fan. Which is Black Ops by far is one of the more popular of Call of Duty series. There's no doubt about it. But I think you're onto something. I think that if the multiplayer is as good as we're expecting it to be, Treyarch is doing it. They're going to make it amazing. Most people don't care about single player. I'm one of the few people that actually do. That's why I buy it. I buy the big edition. I play a little bit of the multiplayer. I get my ass handed to me. I'm like, yeah, this is just not for me. I go right back to Halo. It's fine. It's just not my bag. But I do run through the campaign at least twice. Usually I started on like hardened, and then I run through it on the hardest difficulty, and that takes a very long time because you get killed for a fart, you're dead, and it takes some time, but I like the achievements. I'm an achievement hunter like that. Dreadpool, what are your thoughts on the potential change of direction from the classic Call of Duty, potentially making it this kind of Far Cry open world?
I see nothing wrong with it, to be honest. I see developers making a game and trying to change it up and making it the way that they want to make it. So who am I to tell them how to make their game? It's their vision. And if they lose because they took that gamble, then it's on them. But I'm not going to sit there and chastise them for changing it up, trying to make, keep it fresh, right? How many times have people are like, oh, Halo's Halo, and Call of Duty's Call of Duty, nothing changes, and then it's like, oh, we got zombies here, we got this here. They're changing it up. This is just another format that they're trying to do to change it up. So I don't have any issues with it. I'm willing to see what it is. And I know a lot of people don't like Far Cry, but maybe that was a bad analogy. I like the Wildlands analogy a lot better, but maybe there's some certain things that they don't want to associate with Wildlands, and Far Cry made a better distinction for them. So again, we don't know, and we won't know until we actually get it. So one person saying their version of their analogy may be misinterpreted, right? So again, we know it's open world. I do like the Wildlands analogy of it.
Wildlands who in the class played that? Freaking Wildlands was so good. Oh my god, it was so freaking good.
I love Wildlands. I like it better than its its follow-up. But they did make
freaking awful. I mean, you started by yourself. There was no squad. They finally added a squad. By the time they added a squad, I was like, yeah, fuck this game. It sucked.
Yeah, they finally made it better, but everybody's moved on. But guess what? We still talk about Wildlands. If they would have done it better from the get-go. But again, they chose to do it this way. They had a vision. They chose to do it this way. Guess what? It failed. And they realized we got to go back and fix it. Yep. So this could be another one of those situations. We don't know. It could be a masterpiece like Wildlands, or it could be a failure like whatever that other one's called. So I visualize it. Breakpoint. There you go.
Yeah, and they broke a point. All right, they broke a point that the game sucks.
The point was we broke it. We're gonna fix it, and they fixed it. You know what I mean? But again, it's a little too late. So we'll find out what it is. Judge the game based on the game, right? Wait, isn't that something we just spoke of earlier? Suicide Squad. Let's base the game on what the game is, not what you want it to be, what you think it should. Because it's not Arkham that we're going to judge Suicide Squad the way we're judging it. No, this is Call of Duty. Base it on its merits of what it is this time around for this Call of Duty, because it is not the same Call of Duty from last year or the previous years or the previous times. They're trying to break the mold and do something different for us. So let's appreciate it for what it is. And if it still sucks, it sucks.
Yeah,
it
get
is
out
what
there
it is.
and let them know the game sucks. That's all. It's fine.
But that's the
If the game
thing,
sucks,
and
it sucks. Yeah, absolutely. No
but
doubt
tell
about
them
that.
why it sucks, right? Don't just say it sucks. It sucks because we used to be able to do this. Why can't we do it this way? They can make those adjustments, and they've done it before, and we shouldn't have to wait for a whole new game for those adjustments to be made. So just be articulate and respectful with why it sucks. You know what I mean?
I like it. I like it.
That's there's ways to do it. When you get the fanboys that are like pitchforks and everything, they're just gonna close the gates. They're not gonna listen to anything you say. But if you
Yeah.
be respectful, saying I'm not a fan of this game, I don't like the direction it went because of these points. Bring out those points. And if enough people have the same points, they will change it. They will alter it. I mean, look at We Happy Few. So many people spoke up against what they were doing, that they wanted to see this game this way, that they actually changed the game for the worse. So think
Yeah.
about that point too. The game was great when it was in the beta, the preview program. But when it came out, they changed it so much that it wasn't the same game.
Yep.
Think about that. And the game sucked.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
Because
I
they
could.
took away
Yeah.
the narrative of what the storyline that they started with. They took that away.
Yeah.
It
No,
is.
you're again. Be careful what you wish for. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a fine release. I do like
Yeah.
Raven. I think Treyarch is going to do an amazing job with multiplayer, as they always do. And Black Ops is this is a part of the of wartime that we have never really experienced in depth. And Gulf War has me very excited to see what story they're going to tell. But look, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's show. We got to every topic. Everyone had a great opportunity to kind of drop their bars, as the kids like to say. I have one super chat to get to, actually four super chats to get here before we get on out of here. Doc50 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, FTC going after Microsoft so they can intimidate other tech companies. Yeah, that's no doubt about that. Punch the biggest guy in the face, and all the others will fall in line. Also, hot as a pony. I love it. Highlander 001 drops not one but two $5 super chats. And the first one, he says this: my friends and I played Call of Duty for Zombies, and we absolutely love the zombie mode in Modern Warfare 3. We cannot wait to see the next zombie in the next Call of Duty. Yeah, I mean, that's all you've heard was how good the zombie mode. I actually played the zombie mode, the big open world one, and it was actually pretty fun. I like the pressure of trying to get onto the helicopter before all these zombies show up. It was actually pretty dope. I played it for a little bit. His second $5 super chat says, I love the fact that the skins you buy carry over. Yes, that was big. And I hope that they keep that moving forward. My friends and I hope that it's in Game Pass. Yeah, that's another. We don't know. Again, don't listen to the rumors. It's not going into Game Pass. It is going to Game Pass. We'll see. I mean, they got me for $20. I bought the Ash Williams skin. I don't play Call of Duty like that, and I'm like, that's freaking Ash. Holy shit! Here, take my money, please. So hopefully it will carry over. And Sir X-Men, what was that?
Not only that, Boom. Oh, I was just going to say, not only that, Boom, but they actually had him come in, and Bruce Campbell did
the voiceovers
work for it.
Yes, he did. He did. Yeah, that was it was well worth the money. I do not deny the purchase. It's freaking Ash. But Sir X-Men drops a $2 super chat and says 5 days until Tomb Raider Remastered. Yes, I cannot wait for that. Halo Season 2 is fire. Yeah, Mrs. Boom and I are going to watch that tonight. We were out late last night, didn't get in time to enjoy it, so we kind of want to just veg out and enjoy it. I heard that the first 2 episodes are freaking fire, and I cannot wait for that. But look, ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you to all of the super chats. A big thank you to all of the new channel members, as well as the current channel members that continue to support the Double Barrel Gaming. We're incredibly grateful for the generosity. Let's get everyone out of here so you can start your weekend. I have somewhere to be at 12, so I got to get out of here. Otherwise, I would have had a longer show. But Dreadpool, let's sell your brand, brother. Talk about breaking bread with Dread. And obviously, you can find him at everything you see on the screen here, as well as checking out a very unique and interesting and entertaining way of podcasting and that's called Breaking Bread with Dread. Talk about it, brother. Where can people subscribe and reach out to you on social media?
Yes, I'm still calling it Twitter. I don't care what you guys say. It's Twitter. Dreadpool, the O's are actually zeros. YouTube will have everything. I was just at the convention last week at MegaCon, so that's why I wasn't here. My apologies. But again, getting you guys content, and I did get another Breaking Bread during that one. It's going to be a great interview. It's a two-parter. It was that good that it's a two-parter, and the guy actually suggested that we make it a series. So I will have to visit this person for the series to continue on with this interview system. But again, check it out. We got Back from the Dead from last year, finally being released. Again, it's on the YouTube channel. It's on Twitter and Google Podcasts and Spotify and all that stuff. It's all trickling out, but it's first hitting YouTube for right now and going from there. Appreciate each and every one of you guys for checking out all the stuff I post up there and hanging out with us every day. I love all your difference in opinions and the fact that we can all stay civil, which is the beauty of having a community like this. And I will be at Sir Henry's haunt for Valentine's Day this tomorrow night. So the Dreadpool crew will be there filming and hanging out, and I've already spoken with Def Leppard. So if anybody else wants to swing by that's in the area, we'd love to see you guys and love to see people in person. That's why Breaking Bread with Dread is in person, is to get that authentic feel, because we all hang out here like this digitally all the time, but it's not
nice
the
to
same.
see people in real life. It absolutely is. It's one of the highlights of my E3 trip in 2019. I spent a lot of money to get there, but it was the interaction with the peoples that was just amazing.
And that's why I do what I do, because I wish I was at E3 and I would have hung out with all you guys too on purpose. But either way, I'm gonna figure out how we're gonna meet up at some point in time with something. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but it's gonna happen now that the restrictions are off of us. Now the other restriction is the wife, and
absolutely
getting those kind of permissions. But again, I really want to thank you guys for everything, hanging out with us, and love hanging out with everybody here on the panel and the chat. You guys are awesome.
We enjoy having you here, brother. Certainly your opinion is valued and appreciated. So thank you so much for that. Crispy Bomb, sell the brand, brother. What do you got going on? And more importantly, where can people find you on social media? And hashtag Go Chiefs. Let's go.
Let's go. Great show. Shout out to the chat, gentlemen, as always. At Chris Dom on X. Not Twitter, no, whatever you guys want to call it. Seriously, like Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me on Breakfast with Boom Fridays 10 a.m. Never know I'll pop up though. I'm due for a little showing up here and there, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we got some news that people don't expect next week. But let's be serious. Right now, there's still rumors. Let's react with our pitchforks after it comes out from themselves. Let's hold the line till then, gentlemen. We'll see you then.
Indeed. Hashtag hold the line. King David, where are you, sir? We got to get him back on here for sure. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell the brand of your YouTube channel. The goal is to get you to 500 subscribers. And folks, if you didn't know, best place for anything and everything in the racing genre, as well as valued and interesting points of contention when it comes to the conversation of gaming. And more importantly, where can people find you on other podcasts and reach out to you on social media?
Oh, as always, thank you for having me on. It was awesome being on here with you guys this morning. Thanks to everybody in the chat for checking us out. Greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us and interact with us. Greatly appreciate everything you guys do. For those that haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, you can follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on YouTube. Just search Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word. You can also find me later on tonight on Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. And then on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel for the Shop podcast. And then right back here for the Xbox lunch break, tongue-tied today, the Xbox lunch break special Monday afternoon. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. And last and no way least, Silent Cypher. Obviously, we got to check on. Well, we don't really have to check on him because we know at least he's in Germany. And of course, we're talking about Crazy Lou Gaming, one of the panel members in the amazing panel known as the Xbox International Podcast. By all means, sell the brand, brother. Where can people check that out? And more importantly, follow you, kind sir, on social media.
Well, thank you as always for having me. Obviously, one of the main things you'll find me here every other Friday because of work schedules. So you'll see me hanging out with these guys then. You'll catch me on Wednesdays primarily on Xbox International Podcast at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, actually, later on, you're going to find me on Gamers Initiative Podcast. Going to be hanging out over there with Elite Gaming Guru, Red Dead Panda, and Ashtray Gaming. So we'll be starting that up here in a few hours. And as far as where you can find me besides those type of things, you can find me on Twitter. Join me as we watch people completely destroy their credibility and fireball it into oblivion. I encourage you to enjoy the dumpster fires because it's pretty entertaining. And for all of you out there, chat, you guys were awesome today. It was great hanging out with you.
Yes.
Great having those conversations as always. And for everyone here, whether, whoever you're rooting for or whatever, I hope your baseball team wins. And I'm very excited the playoffs are here.
I love it. Listen, again, that definitely the basketball game is going to be very entertaining. That halftime show. Cannot wait. Looking forward to that. But listen, folks, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed enough that if you're finding the channel for the first time, you had enough laughs with us. You enjoyed the banter, that you consider subscribing. Of course, before you get out of here, please consider two things. Sharing this on social media would be dope if you really kind of want to do the extra, as well as hitting the like button. Trust me, regardless of what they tell you, you're not charged a quarter every time you press it. It's free. So press it and help us, engage with the YouTube algorithm, which is a constant fight. But with that said, once again, thank you so much for being here. I want to close out the show with something I say almost every show, and I encourage it. It's something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.